Hello, folks. Welcome along. Sinner Etcheverry, round two, Shanghai Rolex Masters. Now, we're already about a game in. Sinner with an early hold. Apologies for the slight delay in getting up and running here. Etcheverry with a few game points of his own. Bear with me while I just get my second screen up. Hope you're all doing well. Should be a good match. Etcheverry's having a pretty good year so far. Third round of the US just a few weeks ago, almost matching his best result at a slam, of course, making that fourth round of the Roland Garros last year. But it will be definitely a tough test to try and take Sinner off some pretty good form, considering all the stuff that's been going on off court. Sinner has been playing tremendously, hasn't he? So then, all tied, one game all, early doors on centre court in this round of 32 clash. So Sinner just going along with that first serve. Backhand from Sinner, trying to get Etcheverry pinned into that backhand corner. That's going to be a key play today. Backhand exchange going deep. Both players hitting with tremendous depth right now. Sinner opting to go up the line, but just misses in the net. So Etcheverry with an early win in terms of the backhand contest. Of course, Etcheverry from Argentina, so won't be afraid to just trade from the back of the court. It's something that he would have done plenty of in his junior days, of course, growing up on the clay. That's the traditional surface in Argentina. But a good serve down the tee from Sinner to quickly take away that lead from Etcheverry. Sinner looking calm as ever. As I said, so much going on off court for Jannik at the moment, given the second appeal. Sinner with a second serve at 30-15, one game all. Big forehand return from Etcheverry, but not moving Sinner too much. So Sinner capitalizes, manages to get his forehand into play, but unbelievable retrieval from Etcheverry, but misses the follow-up. Beautiful lob on the stretch on the backhand side from Etcheverry, but the follow-up that he wanted not executed well, and he goes net with that forehand. but some good signs early on from Thomas Martin Etcheverry of Argentina, the current world number 37. He's been up at 27, remember, following that good run last year at Roland Garros. As Sinner goes big down the tee, a serve that he hits so well, comes into the net, follows it up nicely, and the pass is netted by Etcheverry. 2-1, Sinner. And it's a packed house on centre court. Of course, not good weather at the moment in Shanghai, so they're playing under a closed roof, as did Medvedev and Arnaldi in the previous match. Medvedev taken that one in 3 sets in really closely fought contest. Arnaldi managing to take the first set 7-5, but Medvedev showing his greatness in coming back and taking that in three. But he had to dig deep in that one. He's something he does so well. I think he's always there in these matches. You know, he's struggled in recent months against the likes of Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic, but he's always there fighting for those latter stages or fighting in those latter stages at these big events. You know, he's always someone you can rely on to pretty much go through the first few rounds pretty comfortably. So for him to try and just continue, you know, trying to take on those top guys in the latter stages of these events is going to be so important for him because that's going to make the difference in his career when he looks back on it when all things are said and done. It's going to be how often was he able to beat the top 3 or 4 players in the world, really. He'll go down as one of the best players we've ever seen to play the game, but can he go down as one of the greats? I think he's got a few years to try and give us an answer there, hasn't he? So Etcheverry serving at 1-2 down, first set. In his white t-shirt with his black wristbands. They're coming into a lot of use, I'm sure, under the closed roof. It seems like it's pretty humid in there. So Sinner, just a graphic come up, versus players outside the top 20. Since 2023 Cincinnati, he's 52-0. Unbelievable, isn't it? Over a year, he hasn't lost to someone ranked outside the top 20. It's a really impressive stat. Again, into the backhand exchange, but Sinner changes up, goes down the line, responds well, does Etcheverry. Really well. And the forehand down the line does the job for the Argentine. Sponsored by K-Swiss is Etcheverry. Not too many players you see sponsored by K-Swiss these days, but good to see him repping the good old-fashioned tennis brand. Goes up for the serve and hits the net on the first. We'll line up for the second. Of course, both right-handed players, these two, so interesting to see who's looking to get on that forehand that little bit more. You'd think it's going to be a key part to today's matchup. He's got that right ankle tied up in an ankle brace. Often used to see Andy Murray with that too. But nothing too much out of the usual as Etcheverry goes big out wide with that serve and levels us up at 2-2. Just bear with me a moment while I check my audio is struggling a little bit. So 2 seconds. Okay, we're back. So 2-all then. Sinner serving from the far side, 15-30. So a slight half chance for Etcheverry to get on top in this first set. Backhand exchange once again. We've seen that so many times already this first set, but a beautiful inside-out drop shot on the forehand side from Sinner, and he clenches his fist in celebration of that one and pats himself on the back. Beautiful drop shot. Comes around it so nicely. Seems to just be cheating his position a little bit, trying to look for that forehand. Because Etcheverry is hitting that backhand so well, Sinner may be slightly surprised with that, and so just adjusting his position to try and get more of his forehand into play. So 30-all, Sinner with a second serve. Sinner goes up the tee with a backhand, with the kick serve, and finds a forehand dominating from the middle of the court, and Etcheverry goes deep on the stretch on the forehand side. Sinner doesn't have to hit that high volley, and so he'll have a game point at 40-30. Of course, line judges back in for this tournament, so the use of Hawkeye Live not in play, but of course they can still challenge. Sinner going up the tee with the first, finding a nice put away forehand, and he'll go into the changeover with a 3-2 lead. But so far, it's been encouraging signs from both players. It's a nice matchup. They both hit and strike the ball so nicely from the back. Around a similar height, I would say, are the two players, Sinner and Etcheverry. Fairly tall in stature. But Sinner, as I said at the beginning, just looking quite calm and is able to, put aside all those things that are going off court and stick to the game plan, stick to thinking about the tennis solely. Of course, coming off the US Open win, cementing his 2 Grand Slams this year. Of course, guaranteed his place a while ago in the race to Turin in the World Tour final. So he'll be heading there after Paris, which is the next Masters event in just a few weeks' time. Of course, him coming from Beijing last week, losing that absolute classic to Alcaraz. These guys are just producing classic match after classic match, aren't they? The highlight reels for these are just ridiculously long because they're such good quality. So yeah, it's incredible. But one stat which was interesting, they haven't actually met in a Grand Slam final yet, Sinner and Alcaraz. So that's something that we're bound to see very, very soon. And hopefully in Australia, as Alcaraz goes for the career slam, as he ticks off that final slam that he hasn't got yet, it'll be so good to see them in a final, in a Grand Slam final where the stakes are so high. But we're back on court in Shanghai. Etcheverry serving at 2-3 down with an unreturnable serve to start this game. So 15 love to the Argentinian. Goes up with the serve. Beautifully placed out wide. The powerful serve from Etcheverry. Hasn't missed the first serve yet, has Etcheverry. 9 from 9. Sinner, not too bad himself on from 9. So pretty good. Etcheverry up nicely onto that smash. And he's playing with freedom. He's playing pretty loosely out there, and it's nice to see. And when I say loosely, I don't mean, with no margin, or with not too much discipline. There's still discipline there, but he's playing just the right amount. It's really good from Etcheverry right now. And that's wild though. Gets a forehand mid court and sprays long. (40-15) Etcheverry. Etcheverry goes wide, but misses in the net. Didn't quite get up to that one enough to slide it wide. So he'll line up for a second. And he goes wide again, but this time makes it. Goes into the backhand of Sinner, gets him on the stretch, and it pays off. That was really nice. Opened up the court really well, did Etcheverry there. Sinner did well to get the second serve back. It was almost as good as the first serve, that one. Stretching Sinner right on the right-hand side of the court onto the forehand side. And there was just acres of space for Etcheverry to hit that follow-up forehand into. And Sinner got there in time, but just put under too much pressure from Etcheverry. So 3 games all then in this first set. Sinner goes wide with the first serve. And goes into his usual routine of about 6 or 7 bounces, and then lines up for the fairly quick service motion. Does Sinner. These guys are hitting with such power. Sinner opting for the slice to try and give himself some time. Buy himself some time from these big hits coming off the racket of Etcheverry. He is not holding back in this match so far. Clearly a game plan of his to give it all he's got. Nothing to lose against the world number 1. And so far, so good. Average forehand speed, 130 kilometers an hour for Etcheverry. Sinner coming in at 10 kilometers an hour, slower than that. So Etcheverry certainly the one to come out slightly quicker out of the blocks. Sinner goes wide as the forehand clips the top of the net. And it's the second game in a row now that Etcheverry has gone up 30 love on the Sinner serve. So really, really positive signs as we just see Sinner's newly appointed physio and trainer. Of course, there are Djokovic's old physio and trainer. So I think really clever appointments from Sinner. They've clearly shown themselves to have a pretty good CV in the work they've done with Djokovic. Sinner goes wide with the serve, but it clips the top of the net, so he'll get another ball from the ball boy and get ready to hit that first serve once again. Sinner goes wide again and too good. Hits the ace, something that the top players just do so well, don't they? When they need that big serve, when they need that cheap point, it comes. But still in a bit of trouble is Sinner. 15-30 down. 3 games all, remember. Goes wide into the backhand of Etcheverry. But it's a good first serve. Makeable the return from Etcheverry, but nonetheless still a decent first serve. 30 all now. Jordan Thompson watching on. But due to the rain, a lot of these players are having to hang around, so why not go and watch on centre court? Get yourself in the zone, have a look at how the best in the world does it, take some tips. But Jordan Thompson doesn't need too many tips, does he? What a year he's having. One of the best years on tour he's had over the last couple of years as the Australian. But as Sinner nets that forehand, it brings up a first break point of the match, and Etcheverry is finally getting some reward for some of this attacking tennis he's been putting onto this court in Shanghai. Sinner goes big, wide, and of course it's an ace. Just as I said, he knows how to hit the big serves in the big moments. Hit his spot to perfection there. No chance Etcheverry was getting a racket to that. And his box, fairly calm at the moment still. They will get more and more pumped up as the match goes on, that's for sure. But for now, as Sinner hits another ace out wide, for now, his coaching team are just calm and collected, I'd say. Sinner adding to that ace count, up to 4 aces now in this first set, 3 of which coming in the last few points. Oh, and if that didn't clip the net on the way through, it would have been another ace and up to 5 aces for the match. But he'll have to line up for this serve again. Advantage Sinner after saving a break point. Now looking to go up 4-3 into the tee. Etcheverry with the forehand return. Etcheverry going big down the line with the backhand, but misses in the net, and Sinner points his racket in a way to signal to his team that he's very glad that he got that under his belt that game, because go a break down there, Etcheverry holds serve, you're now a game away from going down a set. And the way Etcheverry's playing with the attacking tennis he's putting onto this court, sets can quickly go. So important for Sinner to keep this scoreboard ticking along and just weathering the storm a little bit, because Etcheverry is playing some really good tennis. Number 31 seed, of course, in this tournament. And I think when someone is seeing the ball so well, it's important just to weather the storm, as I said, keep the scoreboard ticking over, because eventually they'll start to make a few more errors. So both players just taking a moment in this changeover to recover their thoughts as the rain continues to fall in Shanghai. We're just getting some pictures of the grounds out and about outside centre court, and the umbrellas are up. No play seems to be headed on just yet on the outside courts, unfortunately, for those watching in Shanghai. So currently it's just the stadium court to be continuing play. Alcaraz taking to the court following this one. Alcaraz plays Chinese player Yibing Wu in the next round. Will we see another Sinner-Alcaraz final in Shanghai? I think tennis would like to see it, because every time they seem to step on the court with each other, it turns into one of the all-time classics. But eyes now on Etcheverry as he goes wide with the serve, and Sinner goes too big on the return, misses long. Ben Shelton also watching on. Often with his hood up, isn't he? Here's Shelton. Whenever he's off court, it always seems to be with his hood up. Maybe it's the fashion from the States. Etcheverry with the second goes wide. Sinner runs around with the forehand, and they're into another backhand exchange. Sinner going into the forehand of Etcheverry, inside in from Etcheverry, forehand from Etcheverry, backhand from Sinner down the line, injected with some pace. Now he goes off to the backhand side of Etcheverry on the stretch with the slice, but just misses wide as Sinner follows that one in, and would have been a really, really tough half volley for Sinner if Etcheverry was to make that one, but good from Sinner. Switching it up a little bit, trying to get on the front foot. Did well in that point. Got Etcheverry moving a little bit more than he has been able to so far this first set. Etcheverry going wide once again. Seems to be a real pattern of wide serves from both players right now. And Etcheverry now going into the body. Sinner managing to run round and hit the forehand, but Etcheverry goes deep after the return of Sinner. And there is a little opening now for Jannik Sinner. How often do we see it? Slight chances in the previous game for Etcheverry to try and break the serve of Sinner, and now Sinner having some chances of his own. As he goes wide once again. And that's a strong serve out to the backhand side of Sinner. Sinner will be disappointed with that return because, as I said, a slight chance to put himself, or to give himself, a little bit of a lead. 50% of first serves unreturned from the Sinner racket. So not awful, but Etcheverry doing better with 62% of first serves returned. Etcheverry once again going wide, but completely scuffs the forehand third ball. Sinner puts in a decent return, nothing special, but good depth, good height. And there was some space for Etcheverry to hit into, which he did attempt, but completely makes a scuff of that forehand, and it barely hits the net. And Sinner has got a break point. And Etcheverry goes with the exact same serve as the previous point on the ad side before. I mean, you've got to think that he's feeling that serve. I mean, and it's also paying off because Sinner's not finding that return. But the combination of him feeling good on that serve and Sinner maybe not feeling so good on that return is really, really working well for Etcheverry. And he goes wide with the slider. And Sinner's trying to make contact with that over on the scoreboard in the corner of the court and unable to find any contact. So from break point to game point for Etcheverry. Does well to navigate himself through this game. Can he finish it off? Etcheverry goes wide, and it's another ace. And brilliant serving to get himself out of a bit of bother the Argentine, serving really, really well. And it's good to see because it's not easy when you're break points down, you're playing the world number one, a lot going on in your mind to take away from the real focus of that first serve and how you're going to hit your spots. But he did really well. And we're tied up at 4-all. And Sinner following in Etcheverry's fine form on serve. So 15 love Sinner. Sinner goes up the tee with the serve, finds the forehand, comes in, follows it up, but Etcheverry on the pass, but Sinner does really well. Great court coverage at the net from Sinner, and he finds the court. Etcheverry way out of position. Beautiful touch. Does just enough on the volley, does Sinner. Good move at Etcheverry for a big lad. Got to that one in good time, to be honest. But Sinner, one step ahead. Sinner missing the first serve. Now lining up for a second. Goes into the body of Etcheverry. Nice return up the middle from Etcheverry, but Sinner with the third ball, just beautifully positioning himself, able to hit that forehand. And goes into the backhand of Etcheverry, too far on the stretch. 40 love Sinner. Kick serve from Sinner and beautifully put away with the serve and volley. That's a nice change up. He's been bombing down those serves so far this match, is Sinner, just like Etcheverry. So nice to see a little bit of a change up, getting Etcheverry up high on the backhand side and following it in with the volley and puts it away beautifully. So Sinner leads 5-4. Etcheverry in the previous round contested the longest ever Shanghai Rolex Masters match, which is a seriously impressive feat. Really, really impressive. He played Botic van der Sandschulp, of course, who beat Carlos Alcaraz a few weeks ago in the early rounds of the US Open. What an upset that was. Completely shocking the tennis world, but I don't think we can say Carlos Alcaraz was too much himself, probably. We'd say I think he was a bit tired from the likes of the Olympics, Wimbledon. It all caught up to him, I think, mentally, and he just needed a bit of a break. But how difficult it is to get that break in season. It's very tough indeed. So now that Alcaraz is able to have had some time off, he's now looking back to really, really positive things. I think he looks calmer, he looks more relaxed when he plays, and as he says himself, that's when he plays his best tennis, when he's relaxed and almost looks like he doesn't have a care in the world and just loves playing tennis. But it'll be interesting to see so far how well Etcheverry so far looked fine physically. He's certainly been playing some really attacking tennis, and maybe that's as a result of the previous match and how long it was. He knows that maybe he doesn't have as much in the tank as he did physically to be able to go 3 sets here. So he knows he needs to shorten the points, which is what he's been doing really well. But first point of this game goes to Sinner after An unforced error from the forehand side of Etcheverry, as Etcheverry with the second point goes into the backhand of Sinner, but Sinner now makes the backhand return. Sinner into the backhand of Etcheverry. He replies with another backhand, and these guys are both trading into the backhand side of each other. But Etcheverry goes line, and that's really close to missing. But now Sinner opens up the court. Etcheverry almost falls over on the volley, but somehow manages to hit an extremely good volley on the forehand side and does really well to take out the world number one in that point, because not easy to go toe to toe with Sinner on the backhand side. We know how much power Sinner hits with and how much quality he hits with the backhand side. We often see the insights come up from Tennis Insights in the quality of the shot, and Sinner is so often at the very top of the leaderboard. Second serve for Etcheverry goes wide to the forehand of Sinner. Sinner replies into the forehand of Etcheverry, and Etcheverry starting to miss a couple more forehands now. Sinner has weathered the storm, and now he's starting to see some reward. But Etcheverry continuing to look for that serve out wide. I mean, interesting to see where he goes here at 15:30. Will he stick to what has worked so far this set? He'll change it up and he'll go down the tee, and it pays off. Missed return from Sinner on the forehand side into the net. So 30 all then. Really, really big point now. 94% of first serves won for Etcheverry. So important for him to continue to make that first serve with something behind it. He can't just make it. That's not going to do the job. But so far, he's been making it with real power and real placement. As Sinner makes the second serve return, now we're into the backhand exchange once again. Sinner finding the line. Up the line does Sinner. He goes. And then he nets the forehand. He looks a little bit disappointed with that, almost in disbelief that he's missed a fairly routine forehand on such a big point at 30 all. Would have given him a set point. So that's poor from Sinner. But that's something that you'll see from Sinner time and again. He won't back down. He'll continue to go for those shots because he trusts his game so much. So game point for Etcheverry. He goes wide with a really, really nice serve into the corner, and Sinner on the stretch. But it goes deep. So that's really good from Etcheverry. Just really, really positive ball striking from the Argentine, trying to suffocate Sinner, holding up a really good position close up to the baseline, trying to be the one dictating these points, doesn't want to let Sinner have control of the point. So far, so good. So 5 games all in this first set. Sinner netting with the first serve. 43 minutes played now in this second round encounter at the Shanghai Rolex Masters 1000. As Sinner misses a backhand wide. So first point, Etcheverry in this game. Sinner lining up at love 15 now. He goes up and goes up the tee for the first serve. Etcheverry finds the baseline really, really impressively, but it was a slower ball, and that meant that Sinner had time to run round and hit the forehand and dictate with that forehand. With that forehand, he does. So 15-0. Sinner up the tee. Etcheverry again finding great depth on that backhand return, but Sinner finding the forehand and manages to stay on top of the point and forces an error from the backhand of Etcheverry. Fairly routine, which is not a good sign from Etcheverry if he's starting to miss a few more of those routine balls from the middle of the court. But Sinner serving well, which means he's able to get up in the rally and dominate. Big serve from Sinner out wide, and that's a strong serve into the backhand of Etcheverry. Too good as the return nets. So a couple of game points for Jannik Sinner to go again within one game of taking this first set. Yeah, good stuff from Sinner. You sense that both players, as Sinner goes into this changeover at 6-5 up, both players are really got quite similar game styles, actually. You'd maybe say that Sinner has the better ability to be able to trade from the baseline for a longer amount of time. He's got that consistency, I'd say, whereas Etcheverry potentially doesn't have as much quality for as long, but the quality is definitely there, and we've seen that so far in this set, that if the rallies sort of stay under 6-7 shots, Etcheverry has a really good chance of taking this first set. He's been playing some quality tennis, but it's if Sinner's able to push the rallies a little bit longer, you sense that maybe that how do I say, the likelihood of winning points shifts towards Sinner, for sure. So interesting to see if Etcheverry can just keep those points nice and short. I'd like to see him come to the net a little bit more if he can, when he gets the chance. I mean, so tough to come to the net against Sinner because his quality of ball striking from the baseline is so good. So you've really got to move him around, and that will create the chances to come forward. But as we've seen a few times in this set, the backhand to backhand exchange is really a tough pattern of play for Etcheverry, because Sinner is so good from that side. Sinner looking to return very far back from behind the baseline now, giving himself a little bit more time to get into the point, as Etcheverry dominates with the forehand. He goes up the line but just misses wide, and he was looking to follow it in, something that I just said was going to be important. So that's good to see, but just going too tight to the lines. But I think he's got out a challenge. So let's see if this hits the line. It doesn't. Hawkeye confirms that ball was wide on the forehand from Etcheverry. So love 15 on the Etcheverry serve. Work to do. First serve netted from Etcheverry. Sinner will be looking to pounce on this to try and assert his hold on this game. But he does stay back. Sinner makes a fairly routine backhand return and misses the next backhand. And I think there was some slightly odd spin as the forehand from Etcheverry was shanked and somehow put in. But Sinner laughing that one off because really routine, and puts his head back in frustration. Sinner into the backhand exchange now. Etcheverry the first to find a forehand, but isn't up to standard. So Sinner finds a nice forehand in. The next one is a nice approach shot from Sinner on the forehand side that he is able to place into the corner. It goes past Etcheverry nicely. So 15-30 on the Etcheverry serve. Sinner 2 points away from this first set as Etcheverry makes that first serve wide, gets the forehand he wants, but misses the net, misses the forehand in the net. Didn't look like he had his full body behind that one, Etcheverry. But anyway, it's 2 set points for Sinner. Etcheverry looks to go wide, but misses deep. So look at a second serve for Sinner. Will he stay back? It looks like he is. And he'll go with the forehand return. Backhand of Sinner, backhand of Etcheverry. Another backhand from Sinner, looking to get Etcheverry out wide. Etcheverry first to find a forehand once again. Sinner goes up the line into the forehand of Etcheverry. Now into a forehand exchange. Sinner goes up the line. He's the one dominating, dictating this point. But he does go wide from the backhand side. And again, a little bit of frustration from Sinner, not quite playing as well as he would have hoped, I don't think, or as well as he's used to, certainly this year. But he's doing enough so far. He's got another set point. But I don't think Etcheverry will be missing in this point. I think Sinner's got to take it to him as he stands far back on the first serve return. And I think he'll stick to his position as he has done in the last few points and just make sure he makes the return. Doesn't want to take too many risks by stepping up the court, but he stays back and hits the forehand, goes into the backhand of Etcheverry, now into a 50-50 exchange. Both players staying behind the baseline, but then Sinner misses the backhand. And he's struggling, is Sinner. An uncharacteristic couple of errors, especially on the backhand side. You wouldn't have thought that was going to be the case. So 2 set points quickly come and gone, and we're back at juice. Etcheverry goes wide and hits a beautifully hit ace. And Etcheverry will be really, really happy if he's able to take this first set into a tiebreak, having faced a couple of break points in the last couple of games. And that's exactly what he does. A nice serve out wide into the Sinner backhand and follows it up nicely with a nice dry volley almost on top of the net. Plays it into the open court, and we're in to a first set tiebreak here on the stadium court in Shanghai. 52 minutes played. Who will prevail in this first set? Etcheverry taking it to the world number one. Will Sinner do what he does so well and win in these tight moments? So far this year, he's done it so well, hasn't he? It's what makes the difference between the very top in the world and the players just below them. But I think that first forehand approach just misses from the forehand of Sinner. So Etcheverry with the better start, he gets the mini break to start this tiebreak off. Yeah, Sinner has won so many tiebreaks this year. Etcheverry goes kick into the backhand of Sinner. I'm sure he'll be looking to target that backhand of Sinner, considering the last couple of points and the last few misses. But Sinner finds now a forehand. Etcheverry still trying to find the backhand of Sinner, but that one wasn't quite up to standard. So Sinner steps in, flattens out the backhand down the line with a beautifully hit winner. Yeah. Credit to Sinner there, trusting his backhand. Winner speed of 146 kilometers an hour down the line. Etcheverry up for the first serve, goes wide once again. Stretch from Sinner, he makes it. Etcheverry goes down the line, and the stretch from Sinner somehow makes that. Oh my goodness me. Oh my goodness. Sinner was going side to side, guessing exactly where Etcheverry was going. But the final hit from Etcheverry was too powerful for Sinner to somehow try and control back into the side of the court of Etcheverry's. His athleticism is second to none. Sinner, he's got to be up there than the top two most athletic tennis players, able to work his way back into the point from all angles and all areas of the court. Sinner with the second serve at 1-2 down. Etcheverry finds a decent return. Now Sinner dominating from his backhand side, finds the forehand, opens up the court down the line. Etcheverry running from side to side, but getting himself back into the point now. Sinner still dominating. This is a really, really strong point from both players, both looking to try and assert their lead into this tiebreak. And Etcheverry doing so well to stick in the point, and eventually Sinner misses on the forehand, goes deep, and Sinner bends over in what seems to be a tired Sinner. "21 shot rally," causing Sinner and Etcheverry now to just bend over and try and grab their breath back in preparation for this next point. Sinner goes up the tee with the serve. Etcheverry guesses right, and Sinner misses the volley. Etcheverry completely guesses the right way. And Sinner's forced to hit a really difficult backhand volley from down low on the stretch. And Etcheverry now has a double break in this tiebreak and is, you've got to think, the favourite to go up a set here against the world number one. Etcheverry goes big out wide but misses, so a second serve to come. You would think he goes kick out wide and Sinner stays back behind the baseline and hits the backhand into the middle of the court. Etcheverry trying to find his forehand, but has to opt for a backhand. And the backhand he misses, so a lifeline for Sinner to try and get back in on level terms in this first set tiebreak. So 4-2, Etcheverry to serve. Sinner's got to be covering that wide serve. Etcheverry's gone there so often this first set. But he doesn't go there this time. He goes up the tee, but misses deep. Sinner still opting for that positioning far behind the baseline. But it's paying off because he's making a lot of returns now. He's making Etcheverry play. But we're into a baseline exchange once again. Sinner just goes wide with the forehand as he tries to open up the court, and I don't think the angle is quite there. It's a bad miss going wide from so central in the court. It's something that often he does so well in making sure when he does miss, they're long. You don't want to be missing wide or up the net. It gives you so little margin. So 2-5, Sinner with a lot of work to do now. Needs to really start playing the better tennis if he's going to try and win this first set. It's going to be a struggle if it continues the way it has done. As Sinner goes for a drop shot, Etcheverry looks like he's going to get there. He doesn't. Well, he does get there, but he misses on the reply. And you'd think the drop shot was just good enough. Sinner serving now at 3-5. He's going to have to start to dictate some of these points. Etcheverry is certainly the one to have dominated this tiebreak. Sinner goes wide, looks to open up the court. As he goes down the line, he does. Retrieved well from Etcheverry. Now we're almost at 50-50. Sinner with a slowish forehand, and Etcheverry takes full advantage of the slower ball. He follows the backhand in and hits an unbelievable backhand volley drop shot that had so much spin on it. It almost spun off the court after he hit it. Benoit Paire-esque from a few years ago in Paris, wasn't it? I think we all know what shot I'm talking about when we say Benoit Paire-esque. Faded drop shot volley. Drop volley, should I say. But with that beautiful volley, Etcheverry's got a few set points to take the first set against the world number one. What a feat that would be. As he misses the first serve here. Etcheverry goes wide with second serve. Sinner runs round to hit a forehand. Now Etcheverry's on the run. Sinner steps up the court, takes the forehand early. Now Etcheverry's got a chance at a pass, and Sinner gets the volley, but scuffs a simple put away. And that's reminiscent of a pretty average first set for Jannik Sinner. But it's Etcheverry who is taking it to the world number one in this second round encounter in the penultimate Masters 1000 event of 2024. And what a brilliant set of tennis from the world number 37. Really good level from the Argentine as we take a quick look at the numbers. Etcheverry dominating on that side of things as well. 14 winners to Sinner's 12. And yes, he's hit one more unforced error than Sinner, but that's going to happen when you're the one looking to dominate. And that's a stat that he'd be happy to give to Sinner, because if he's the one hitting a few more unforced errors, it also means he's the one hitting a few more winners too. So far, that's okay for Etcheverry. First serve percentage one, 84% for Etcheverry. So he's making the most of a good serve from Etcheverry. The Argentine's got a really, really good serve, and he's making the most of it behind that shot early on in the rally. And there definitely was a few uncharacteristic misses in that first set from Sinner. Just fairly routine from the baseline. And he just looks a little bit off the mark as the world number one. But Etcheverry is taking it fully to him, and what a set he's played. And he's taking advantage too of maybe Sinner's slight drop in form in this match so far. So both players just getting their breath before they take back their positions on court. Remember, it was 2023 last Cincinnati Masters. So over a year ago was the last time that Sinner lost to a player outside the top 20. Etcheverry is a set away now, putting that record straight for his fellow below top 20 players. He's got to continue to try and dominate these points as Etcheverry. Sinner's probably going to make a few more balls. But with that, actually, I say that Sinner's basically got two ways. He either sticks to his guns and continues to go full out, which is probably what he'll do, or he'll sit back and make a few more balls and see what Etcheverry's got and see if he can continue to take it to him. But I think Sinner has been shown to stick to his guns so well previously that no reason why he won't do that this match. Etcheverry, 30 love up, looking to try and get a good start in this second set. Goes up to the body of Sinner. Sinner's got a nice forehand in the middle of the court, but doesn't do quite enough. So Etcheverry stays in the point at around 50-50. Etcheverry looking to move Sinner around, and he's just missed that one up the line once again. A couple of times he's missed that forehand, just doesn't quite connect with it as well as the other shots in that rally and hits the net. So 30-15 Etcheverry in this first game of the second set. Hour and 7 minutes played, so it was a fairly lengthy first set. Of course, remember Etcheverry playing the longest match in Shanghai history just a couple of days ago against Botic van der Sandschlop. As the serve goes up the tee from Etcheverry, and it's a misreturn from Sinner on the forehand side. 9.2 serve quality from Etcheverry to Sinner's 8.7, so he's leading the way on the serve, and maybe that's what made the difference in that first set. Seems to me like that was the difference. Just a few better points played, backing up some better serving from the Argentine. But he gets on the board in this first game of the second set, and things are looking good for Etcheverry. Still a long way to go, though. Yeah, just seeing a graphic there, and basically it's just showing how much quality the Etcheverry serve has had, especially in terms of placement. He's been going so close to the lines, which has meant that Sinner's been put under so much pressure from so early on in the point on the Etcheverry serve or service games. And that's been really key in that first set, because he's then been able to try and dominate from that serve. Whereas if you're 50-50 after the serve against Sinner, you're probably going to be down in the rally. So the fact that Etcheverry is giving himself a head start on his service games is really important. And that, mixed in with maybe Sinner's slight drop of form in this match so far, has been a real nice combination for Etcheverry to get himself in the lead in this match. But he needs to continue to find the right balance of attacking tennis and consistent tennis, because he doesn't want to be pushing too much and force it, because when he tries to force it, errors will come for sure. So he just needs to continue to strike the right balance. Sinner follows up a big serve down the tee with a nice change up with the drop shot. So Sinner 40 love up now. Excuse me. Sinner looks to follow up the first serve, but hits the net, so he'll line up for a second. Etcheverry about a metre behind the baseline, looking to take this second serve return on, which he does nicely, takes it early. Sinner with the forehand on from the baseline, almost a pick-up forehand. And Etcheverry finds the line, I believe, on that inside-in forehand. That's really nice. That's the perfect point, in my opinion. A nice early return, pushing Sinner back behind the baseline, and then he's able to dictate a little bit. And then doesn't wait too long to try and get the forehand into play, and it's a beautifully struck forehand to win the point. But Sinner responds nicely with an ace out wide, and we're tied up at 1 game all. So 9 of 11 times 11 times Sinner has lost the first set this year. 9 of those 11 times he's able to come back and take that final set. So for Sinner fans, you don't have to worry too much just yet. I think there's a long way to go in this match. Oh, Etcheverry, beautifully constructed point. Hits the first serve out wide, opens up the court really nicely, hits into that backhand side of Sinner, gets a smash, puts it away. That's the sort of point you want to play when you've played a marathon first match and you want cheap, quick points. Marcus Baghdatis watches on with Marinko Matuzovic. I can't remember quite. If you let me know in the comments if you know who Marcus Baghdatis is watching, or who's he coaching now. I can't quite remember. Etcheverry goes out wide with the first serve and now follows it up with a nice forehand down the line. Yeah, and it does have to be that good when you go down the line against Sinner. You do open up the court and slightly put yourself at risk if you don't hit that perfectly, but he did. So all is good for Etcheverry. 30 love up in this service game as he goes down the tee and gets another forehand mid-court from the return. Just what he wanted. But Sinner turns the point around nicely, but completely scuffs that mid-court forehand as he goes wide. That was a really simple forehand for Sinner. Forty love, Etcheverry. Sinner has a nice... missed it. Yeah, and definitely no signs of Etcheverry sort of thinking about the position he's in. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, just getting a feeling of both players on court. Sinner is. Well, I'll start with Etcheverry. Actually, Etcheverry, you're coming up against the world number one. You're set up and you're going well in the second. It's actually been really impressive to see him just continue on. Continue on with the game he's been able to implement in that first set. And on the other side of things, Sinner just looks a little bit slow today. He looks a little bit sore. He looks tired. And it's no surprise because he's come off a long week in Beijing last week, playing that marathon against Alcaraz. He then flies that night to get to Shanghai, has media commitments for that day. A lot of stuff going on. He's then straight into round one the following day. No time to rest and recover. It's so difficult to go from tournament to tournament to tournament, especially when you're making finals. And it just like looks like it's catching up with Sinner right now, with everything going on, and that's completely understandable. To be honest, given everything, it's amazing how well he's playing when he's still winning, and still taking sets to tie breaks like that previous one we've just seen against Etcheverry. So yeah, interesting to see how Sinner manages this match. And yeah, let's see if he's able to overcome this. I mean, it would be a great feat if he is able to. And yeah, who are we to write him off just yet? But it looks as if it's going to be too much of a tough task for Sinner unless Etcheverry drops his level. So so Sinner serving with new balls at 1-2. Sinner misses down the tee. So Etcheverry will look to hit this second serve return with some power. As Etcheverry hits the forehand, Sinner goes up the line, gets Etcheverry on the run. Now Sinner hits the inside out forehand. Etcheverry does well and chisels it back very low. He then has a forehand, but it hits the top of the net. So Sinner has some time. And has the time to hit the winner, which he does. Yeah, it's unfortunate because Etcheverry was very much in that rally, and it was just as a result of the ball clipping the top of the net that gave Sinner that a bit of an easier ball to hit down on and finish the point. Sinner struggling with the first serve in this game, 2 from 2 missed, so Etcheverry has some chances to look at second serves, which he'll be happy to. Takes, yeah, really nice from Etcheverry. I love the way he's taken these second serves on. As I said earlier, it's important to put that pressure on Sinner. You don't want to let Sinner have the time. And if Sinner continues to miss these first serves, it's going to make his comeback quest just that much tougher. Sinner goes up the tee with a beautifully hit ace. Etcheverry nowhere near that. But Sinner continues to look sore out there. Up to 6 aces now to Etcheverry's 9. Another netted serve from Sinner. So Etcheverry will stick nice and close to the baseline, and he'll step up and look to take this one early, which he attempts to, but misses in the net. Just didn't hit through that one enough, did the Argentine. Sinner goes wide with the forehand. Etcheverry. Oh, it's called deep from the return of Etcheverry. So couple of missed returns from Etcheverry, which he'll be a little bit disappointed with, because it seems as if he started to gain some momentum, and Sinner looked to be struggling quite a lot, to be honest. But again, it's just striking that balance for Etcheverry between suffocating Sinner with taking the ball early and taking time away from Sinner. But then also, by doing that, you play with a bit more risk when you do take it that much earlier, and you're trying to dictate the way Etcheverry wants to. I think you are playing with a bit more risk there. So it's also just managing that and making sure you're making the balls that you should make too. But a good ace to start off this game from Etcheverry. 15 love. Goes long with the first serve of the game. So Etcheverry will line up for a second serve. Goes into the body, finds the backhand of Sinner. Slice out wide from Etcheverry, but Sinner anticipates it well, so finds the forehand and goes up the line, and it's good play from Sinner as Etcheverry nets on the stretch. His camp have remained to be fairly calm, actually, to be honest. I would have thought they'd be trying to pump up Sinner to give him a bit of help on the energy side of things, but still looking fairly calm, watching on from behind that far side. Great serve from Etcheverry. Gets the forehand that he wants. Oh, and Sinner, in frustration, looks as if he's about to smash his racket, but stops himself. Yeah, and it's rare to see that much frustration from Sinner. You can tell that mentally he's really, really fatigued out there. It's almost like he's fighting himself before fighting Etcheverry. He needs to overcome this battle going on in his head right now. Etcheverry doing well to take care of his stuff on his side of the net. He just misses wide on that first serve. So Sinner stepping up a little bit more now for the second serve return, suggesting he doesn't want to give these points any length. Etcheverry with the forehand. Nice. Great depth from Sinner. Forehand on the run from Etcheverry. Goes cross court. Now into a cross court exchange on the forehand side. Who will be the one to change it up? No one is able to, because Etcheverry misses long on that forehand exchange. And that's the sort of point that Etcheverry needs to cut out the errors, because Sinner's not doing too much to hurt the Argentine there. He's just making balls with decent quality. Etcheverry needs to find a way to take charge of those points a little bit earlier on in the rally if he's doing what he's done so well in this match so far. Goes wide on the second on the second serve, and he opens up the court nicely, but doesn't quite get the positioning he wants from the forehand. And then he misses the forehand inside out again. Sometimes that forehand from Etcheverry just doesn't quite catch it right, and then it sort of dribbles into the net and doesn't get the depth at all. So that's interesting. I think it's just comes up so much. I mean, interesting to check his grip. It looks fairly Western. So potentially when he just doesn't hit through it, that's what causes the forehand to completely mess up and barely catch the net. But now Sinner's looking at a second serve. Etcheverry's got some work to do. Sinner jumps on the backhand return, and now we're into the forehand exchange. Forehand from Etcheverry goes up the line and into the backhand of Sinner. Backhand of Etcheverry, backhand of Sinner. Now into, once again, backhand exchange. Etcheverry to Sinner's backhand. Now Etcheverry has the forehand because it goes slightly too central from the Sinner backhand. And Sinner finds the forehand down the line. Winner from Jannik Sinner. And he's now a break up, and he's managed to work his way through the mental battle that he's going through, the mental fatigue. And he's doing so well to work through it, is Jannik Sinner. Yeah, it wasn't a bad point from Etcheverry at all, but Sinner going toe-to-toe with him and showing his class at the end there, pulling the trigger. So time is called, and Sinner looks as if he's been given a burst of energy thanks to that last point, because it's almost as if that energy, the winning points, it gives you an extra burst, to move on with the set and try and forget about the mental fatigue that he might have. For Sinner, yeah, great challenge from Sinner. Goes up the tee with the serve. It's called wide by the line judge, but Sinner had an inkling that one caught the line, and it certainly did. Sinner goes big, but goes long. Second serve. Hits the net, so a double. Tied up at 15-all then. First double fault of the match from Sinner. It's been a good serving display from both players. I think Etcheverry's topped the stats from a serve perspective, but Sinner up a break in this second set, so the thing's starting to change now. Second serve for Etcheverry to look at. Will he come up and take it on? Yes, he does. He finds the backhand return. Decent return from Etcheverry. Now it's almost back 50-50 in this point, but Etcheverry looking to try and get his forehand to move Sinner about. Sinner going for a slice. It gives Etcheverry the chance to hit a forehand, which he does, but the reply from Sinner is a good one. Now Sinner goes up the line. Now Etcheverry's on the stretch, and it's too difficult for Etcheverry to get back. And Etcheverry puts up his racket and asks the crowd for a bit of support, because he's fighting out here now. He's fighting himself. He's fighting Etcheverry. And he's trying to get himself back level terms in this match. Oh dear. Sinner hits a beautifully placed wide serve. Etcheverry hits the backhand return, but Sinner misses a nice, easy approach again. And that's just the signs of a slightly tired Jannik Sinner. But so far, he's controlling that tired mind well in this second set. He's not making it show too much in his game. We just saw a stat there that Sinner's now starting to win the longer points. So that's good to see him returning to form. So wide with the second serve. It's a good one, but Etcheverry hits a really good, really good return. Etcheverry goes big with the forehand down the line. Is it going to be enough? And then he hits the drive volley. We're still in the point. And now he's got a very high smash because Sinner goes very high. And now Etcheverry has a smash, a bounce smash from the service line. He has another one, which he then finally hits a winner on. Great retrieval skills from Jannik Sinner. Etcheverry almost having to win that point 3 or 4 times. And that's the sort of point that is so important for Etcheverry. He pulled the trigger. He was the first to pull the trigger in that point. And it meant that he was able to stay on top in the rally so well. And eventually he finds the winner. So a break point for Etcheverry to get back on level terms in the second set. Good serve from Sinner down the tee, but it's a good response from Etcheverry. We're now into that forehand exchange with Etcheverry going huge on the forehand cross, and he finds a winner because the placement of that shot was superb. And for a forehand to get past Jannik Sinner without him even being able to get a racket on it means it's a very, very good one indeed. And he took that ball so early, took no prisoners, and is pumped with that one after all. And Jannik Sinner, yeah, I think Jannik Sinner looked as if he was clapping that shot, saying too good from Etcheverry, but I think it was actually just a bit of a why is my why was that one popping up for Etcheverry to hit down on? Why wasn't that going through the court? Maybe it's something to do with his tension with his strings. We're not sure, but he looks a bit confused out there, and that's frustrating for Sinner to give the break straight back to Etcheverry. We're now back on level terms at 3 games all in this second set, but a really important game for Etcheverry. He needs to try and hold serve here. He's done the hard work of breaking straight back, but he's love 15 down in this service game, so he needs to take full advantage of his confidence and pull the trigger early on in this rally, when the time is right, of course. Missed first serve, so another second serve for Sinner to look at. Etcheverry serving from the far end, and it's a double fault. Oh, it's so annoying because I just find it annoying how difficult it is for the top players to be beaten, because it's such a mental battle. It's such a mental battle to try and beat these guys. Only no points won on their second serve from Etcheverry, so that's a really, really key stat in this second set. And it's another one missed at love 30, so another second serve for Etcheverry to hit. Goes wide. That's a good second serve, but it's a brilliant response from Sinner. Goes so far up the middle of the court. Has he made it? Etcheverry has made it, I believe. Does so well to get back on top in that rally, because the return from Sinner was superb, unbelievable depth, but doesn't want to let Sinner get back into that point. So opts to pull the trigger down the line and hits it to perfection. 145 kilometer an hour backhand down the line. And Etcheverry gets on the board in this game. So 15-30, importantly, makes the first serve, but what a return from Sinner. Does he make it? Oh, no, Sinner fine guesses the right way. So hits the volley into the open court, and Etcheverry nowhere near. Sinner pumped with that one. Good to see him celebrating the good points as well as getting frustrated with the bad points. Etcheverry goes up the tee, gets an easy forehand follows it into the net, but Sinner finds a decent forehand and then nets the backhand volley does Etcheverry. So 3 straight breaks in this second set, and Etcheverry has done what was probably always going to happen and give that break straight back to Sinner. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying watching along, guys. Remember to show the page some love, give like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Good to see some of you joining in. There's Sinner who's trying to look to level up this match. As I was saying earlier, he does look tired from Beijing, coming straight off the plane into round 1 a couple of days ago and then practicing yesterday. It's brutal for those guys that are continuing to make finals like Sinner and Alcaraz. But there we go. Alex, what's your thoughts on today's final between Goff and Mukova? Yeah, I think it would be an interesting matchup. It's good to see Goff making a final so soon after splitting with Brad Gilbert. Obviously, she feels good about things and happy with where she's at. I know she has appointed her new coach. God, if I remember his name correctly, Matt someone. I need to check that. But yeah, she's obviously seen some changes to her grips on the serve and the forehand, so that's clearly paying off superbly well so early on. So good to see that for Coco, and Mukova obviously continuing her brilliant form on a great year. Obviously, quarters of the US Open, and had some great runs in some Masters 1000s already this year. So yeah, we'd love to see that continue in 2025 for Mukova. But I think Goff probably takes that one. I think she's got experience in those finals. She's a slam winner. So I think she probably takes that. But from my point of view, good to see both those sort of players get into a final, because Mukova I think is so good for the women's game. She adds an element of with the serve and volley, she comes into the net a lot, which is pretty rare on the women's side, I think. So, really happy to see Mukova doing so well this year. But my money's on Goff, I think, for that one in Beijing. And back to Sinner and Tomas Martin Etcheverry. Tied up at 50-all at 4-3. Sinner serving. Etcheverry taking the first set, remember, on a tiebreak, playing a really, really solid tiebreak, and Sinner uncharacteristically coming up with some errors in that first set tiebreak. But Etcheverry now looking to try and get a 4th straight break. But Sinner guesses the right way, but misses the backhand attempted pass. So Etcheverry doing well in that rally to get up to the net. Always positive. If you get the chance to get to the net against Sinner, you take it with both hands, because your court positioning is so important when you're trying to dominate yourself or dominate against the best in the world. So Sinner going into the net with the first serve. So Etcheverry has a chance to look at a second serve. You'd think he'd want to take it early, as he has been doing so well, but wants to make the most of this opportunity. So backhand return from Etcheverry. Sinner going up the line into the forehand of Etcheverry. Etcheverry replying down the line, finding the forehand of Sinner. Now into a forehand exchange cross court. Etcheverry going up the line to Sinner, finding good depth. Etcheverry now on the stretch, but Sinner now on the stretch and finds a beautifully hit cross court forehand in response to the drop shot. And it was a good drop shot from Etcheverry, but it was an even better retrieval from Jannik Sinner, and that was a very, very good point from Etcheverry. Shouldn't be too disheartened about that. Sinner showing his class, showing his athleticism. And the Shanghai crowd absolutely loving it. 30 all. Sinner, big serve down the tee, goes for the drop shot early on, and it's a good one. Etcheverry not able to find the court. He gets there in time, but yeah, fabulous drop shot from Sinner. Seeing Etcheverry probably retreat back a little bit when he saw that Sinner had almost a mid-court forehand. So good court awareness from Sinner. Big serve down the tee for Sinner, and he takes the game. $1,200th ace at the Shanghai Masters. That was Jannik Sinner. They've got almost a graphic going up on the big screen counting how many aces are in the tournament. Presumably, that's contributing to some sort of charitable donation. Often is at these tournaments. However many aces the tournament matches a certain amount of money to send off to a charity, which is good to see. Ace from Etcheverry up the tee, give himself a little lead in this game. Goes up the tee again, but just misses. But he thinks it's good, so challenges. But the line judge is correct. It was wide. So a second serve it will be. Sinner takes the second serve return on nicely. Now into a backhand exchange. Etcheverry goes up the line and hits the backhand well. Once again, he's hit a couple of backhand down the lines now really, really well. And it looked as if he was catching that one a little bit late, but it's almost slid off his racket well. And the timing was just about good enough. So 30 love Etcheverry. Missed first serve down the tee. Return off backhand from Sinner, and Etcheverry cuts off the angle superbly and strikes that forehand down the line for a winner. No holding back on that forehand. First serve missed from Etcheverry. Certainly hasn't been serving quite as well in this set as Sinner runs round the return to hit the forehand and finds the backhand up the line. And that's superbly hit from Jannik Sinner this time on the backhand side. Holger Rune watching on. Etcheverry going wide with the serve and following up into the court with a nice serve and volley, but doesn't have to hit the volley because Sinner goes way long with that return, and we're into the changeover. We'll come back out with Jannik Sinner serving to take us into a third set. I believe Dimitrov is playing. Let's have a look. Dimitrov starts at 11 a.m. in Shanghai. Oh no, maybe that's 11 a.m. here. I think that's a resumption of his match against Zizou Bergs, if I'm not mistaken. So in around half an hour, but I think it depends on the rain because I think it's still raining in Shanghai. So yeah, they're having some difficulties trying to get players back on court. That's why the likes of Holger Rune are hanging around. Matteo Berrettini, who's playing Holger, having to wait around quite a lot. And Alcaraz is to follow this one against Yibing Wu of China. So Alcaraz is not before 11:30. So Sinner serving for the second set then. What can Etcheverry do to try and keep this second set in play? Yeah, agreed. It is pretty annoying. Hopefully the rain stops in Shanghai because there hasn't been much tennis played, to be honest with you. Yeah, only stadium court has been on. So Medvedev and Arnaldi finished in, I think it was around 2.5 hours in the end. But yeah, certainly putting a halt to proceedings. Yeah, it's quite interesting seeing which players come out and watch because there must be from the locker room, you must be able to get onto the sort of entrance to centre court and watch. So we're actually seeing pictures of a lot of the players just come and have a look what's going on because don't think there's too much else to do, to be honest. And we're just TV commentator just saying that the hotel for the players is like 45 minutes or an hour away. So it's not as if they can just go back to the hotel because, it could stop raining and they could be back on in around an hour, an hour and a half. So they have to sort of hang around at the tennis center. So that's probably why they're hanging around at the center and not going back to the hotel. So 40 love Sinner. Etcheverry staring down at a few set points against him now. So things looking like they're going to head to a third set, which they do indeed because Etcheverry nets the second serve return and finally Sinner's team are up on their feet in support of their man because he's fought against all odds. And a mentally tired Sinner is able to fight back in this set so impressively. And he's taking things into a deciding set. What's your prediction on Dimitrov winning the match once resumed? Yeah, I think he was a set up, but a breakdown in a second. So I think he'll come through that one. He'll come through that one. Okay, let's have a little look what the current score is. Dimitrov. Yeah, he's a set down, but a set up, but 4-2 down. Yeah, I think he comes through that one in straights. I think he'll be all right with that one. Let me know what you think. If I'm guessing you're a supporter of Dimitrov. But just looking at the numbers for that second set, yeah, things turned around. Sinner's now up on the win account against Etcheverry. He's started to serve better. Etcheverry's fallen off on the serve front. He's still 86% of first serves won, but just too many first serves missed. So he's not been able to make the most of the effectiveness of his first serve when it goes into play. And from a second serve perspective, Sinner doing a better job, because maybe Etcheverry's not hitting with quite as much quality on that second serve return is what it suggests to me. So Sinner's all-round game potentially paying off in that second set, and it's starting to come together a little bit more. Yeah, I believe Sinner will come through this too. I think now he's managed to overcome that hurdle of how tough mentally it was sort of midway through that second set. When he was a set down, it looked like he was really struggling. But now he's sort of past that stage. I think he'll be all right. Unless Etcheverry is able to come up with something special early on in this second set and get in this third set and get a break. Yeah, I think things are going to be tough for Etcheverry. I don't think he quite has the game to match. To match Sinner's level. But Tomas Etcheverry has gone off court for a quick comfort break. So yeah, we'll be back in a couple of minutes or so to get ready for this final set with the world number 1 taking on world number 37 from Argentine, Tomas Martin Etcheverry, who's reached the 4th round of Roland Garros last year, and then reached the 3rd round of the US Open just a few weeks ago. So he's got game. This guy, he's good, but is he good enough to take out the world number 1? I don't think so, but let's see. Sinner's looking pretty relaxed as he comes back out, throwing up his racket. And it's good to see the stadium pretty full. It's a huge stadium in Shanghai. Back here for the first time since 2019. Of course, due to COVID too. Just seeing the forehand quality for this year so far. Jannik Sinner topping the charts at 8.8 quality. Djokovic coming in closely behind at 8.7, and then Alcaraz at 8.6, tying up with Grigor Dimitrov. So there's your man coming in at number 4 in the forehand quality for this year. So it just shows Dimitrov's been having a really, really solid year. After a few years, it's been a bit of a struggle, hasn't it? Since 2014-15, when he was making semis at Wimbledon. And Dimitrov at 6 on the backhand list. 7.8 quality. Yeah, interesting. Gasquet is also on the backhand list, which results-wise is a weird thing to see, but just shows how well he does hit that backhand, does Gasquet. Obviously a veteran of the game and so well known, and credit to him to continuing to grind out on the tour. But still topping the charts on both the forehand and backhand quality lists. So yeah, fully deserves the world number 1 ranking. And Etcheverry just walking back onto court now after the comfort break. So we'll be back very, very soon indeed. And yeah, hopefully for U6, Dimitrov can get back on court ASAP. So Etcheverry to serve from the far end. Be great if you could let me know if you get any word. I will let you know. Yeah, I will definitely let you know if I get any information on the Dimitrov match when it starts. No worries. So first point of this final set, Sinner striking the ball down the line for a winner. And it really is an important service game for Etcheverry, isn't it? Just to get on the board in this third set and just settle him in to what is going to be a really hard fought third set. He's going to need to play almost his best tennis if he's going to be able to get past Sinner, because now Sinner's sort of looking a little bit more relaxed now. He looks sort of back to his normal self. And that means it's going to be all the more tough for Etcheverry to get past the world number one now. Sinner going up the line, opening up the court really nicely. Now going up the line on the forehand side. Etcheverry doing well, moving really, really well. Sinner into the forehand of Etcheverry, now into the forehand exchange. Sinner still holding close to the baseline, and it forces an error from Etcheverry because he's pushed back on the forehand side. Love 30 on the Etcheverry serve. Yep, Sinner so far dominating this third set because he's the one moving Etcheverry around. Etcheverry a little bit out of breath as a result. Missed first serve from the Argentine. So Sinner will continue to look to try and dominate from close up to the baseline, I believe. Oh, no, actually, no. He's standing quite far back and he's pushed so far wide, and the retrieval skills. Oh, my goodness. Etcheverry completely shanks the smash. He played such a good point. The serve was tremendous. Got Sinner out on the stretch so well. The forehand follow-up did just what it needed to do to then give him the smash that he wanted. But it just dropped too low, that smash. So it got into a weird part of the racket. And then when he tried to snap it down, it flew long, that smash. And that's an awful miss from Etcheverry. So Sinner getting off to the perfect start, it seems, in this third set. Steps back for the return once again, but now he's slowly getting back himself up to the baseline. But a beautiful hit from the forehand side of Etcheverry down the line, which goes past Sinner for a winner. On that occasion, it's Etcheverry holding the baseline, the better of the two. Body serve goes long, and Sinner will stand deep in the court to return this second serve once again. Etcheverry goes T. And it's a shank forehand to return, which flies wide from Sinner. It's just odd, that miss, because he's not trying to do too much on the return. So it just seems weird that he mishits that completely. I think that's possibly just the tired Sinner that we've been seeing today come back in that point. But needs to settle himself for this one because he's got one more chance at a break point. Etcheverry goes wide into the backhand of Sinner. Well played, Etcheverry. 3 break points saved. Pretty solid. Good to see. And as we hit 2 hours in this match, we're tied up in this first game of the third set. So it's Been a really closely contested match, this one. Good serve from Etcheverry out wide, forcing the error on the return on the forehand side of Sinner. Good serve from Etcheverry. Gets the forehand mid-court that he wanted, and Sinner misses the pass into the net. So from 3 break points down, Tomas Martin Etcheverry holds serve in a really important hold early on in this third set. And especially from having missed that smash, it's a really, really well fought back game for Etcheverry. So yeah, really good graphic from Hawkeye there, just showing how Sinner has shifted his placement in the baseline exchanges from the first set, going pretty much 50-50 forehand and backhand to Etcheverry. Now in that second set, he shifted his target to the forehand side of Etcheverry. So why would that be? Potentially it's what he feels more comfortable in trying to get Etcheverry off court on the forehand side and then coming into the backhand of Etcheverry. But for sure, it's slightly the more unpredictable shot from Etcheverry. It's definitely more error prone, as we discussed earlier on in this set, in this match. It's sometimes got a bit of an odd miss in there for sure, whereas the backhand seems the more solid of the two. So a good shift in tactic from Sinner. Be interesting to see if he continues with that in this set. No doubt he will if it's working. Missed backhand down the line from Etcheverry. Going for a little bit too much there, I think. Wasn't quite on. Didn't respect Sinner's ball enough. Big serve from Sinner out wide and goes back behind really nicely, and Etcheverry sent running. Yeah, no let up from Sinner. Straight back on it after losing that first game of this set in what a game that he should have really won from love 40 down, or from love 40 up from his point of view. But a good serve down the tee. Gets him on the board early on in this third set. I think we're having a look at some new balls. So new balls then for Etcheverry to serve from the near end. Daniil Medvedev was having a go at the balls they've been using in Shanghai, saying that they just lose so much pace in them, so much. they go so skinny after just a few games, which makes it so difficult for the likes of him to get anything off the balls. With people that it's for players where they find it difficult to generate pace off balls that are quite slow. It's really difficult for them. Whereas for players like Sinner and Alcaraz that are able to generate pace off nothing balls, just gives them an added advantage. So interesting to hear from Medvedev on that front. So Etcheverry, good serve up the tee, forcing a missed return from Sinner. But looks to go wide in this point, but misses in the net. So second serve to hit goes wide as well. And Sinner hits unbelievable depth on the second serve return. Forces the error on the forehand of Etcheverry. So half chance for Sinner. Etcheverry goes up the tee but misses deep. He'll get ready for a second. Awful return from Sinner. Simple second serve, placed pretty much in the middle of the box, and he's hit it straight into the net. Awful from the world number one. Yeah, has to be really disappointed with that. Deep from Etcheverry on the first. He'll bounce the ball, getting ready for the second. This time, Sinner makes the return off a fairly average second, now into forehand exchange. And as Etcheverry tries to switch it up down the line, he then misses into the net. And so Sinner's tactic of playing more into that forehand side, especially moving into these second and third sets, it's continuing to pay off. Netted on the first serve from Etcheverry. Sinner's getting ready to pounce. His positioning is fairly high up on the court, so looking to take the ball early. He does. Now into backhand exchange. Etcheverry on the forehand. Now into a forehand exchange, and Etcheverry goes wide with another forehand, and Sinner has found his mark because Etcheverry is missing forehand after forehand, which has gifted Sinner a break in this third set. And has Sinner finally worked out his Argentinian opponent? It seems to be that way. Just one first serve made from Etcheverry in that game. So things starting to fall apart for the Argentine. Missed forehands, missed first serves. That was what was key to his first set win in this match. He was making a lot of first serves with brilliant placement. And he was also backing it up with some really attacking tennis at the right times. But now, missed first serves, missed forehands. His formula is being broken down by the world number one. So Sinner now back in front into what will feel more comfortable for him, given the year he's had with winning so many matches. He goes wide with the first serve, gets Etcheverry on the stretch on the forehand, which of course opens up the backhand side, and he hits perfectly into it. Brilliant 1-2 punch from the Italian. Love really wants to cement this, and if he does, I do think he'll start to run away with this final set. Good serving from the Italian, making a lot of first serves now, making his life a lot easier against the Argentine. Wide from Sinner. Brilliant return up the middle, deep from Etcheverry. Just trying to neutralize the Italian. Sinner going with a huge forehand cross court on the run, which is called long, but Sinner not so sure. So signals to the umpire he wants to challenge that one, sticks his racket up in the air. But the line judge is correct. So it will be 30-15. 2 challenges remaining for Sinner. Haven't seen too many correct challenges from the players in this match. So good line judging, good officiating. Sinner goes T with an ace. 40-15 now. He's really starting to find good rhythm in this game. Looking a lot calmer, not making as many uncharacteristic errors is Sinner. Starting to look a lot more like the Sinner we've seen so much this year. Brilliant first serve up the tee. And it's, again, a really nice 1-2 punch as Sinner follows up the first serve with a forehand down the line winner. And Etcheverry has simply no answers at the moment. Sinner far behind the baseline to return that first serve, but has now walked up to the baseline, is now almost half a meter behind the baseline to return this second serve, and finds a really, really nice return, almost hitting the feet of Etcheverry. He doesn't even have time to recover from the serve to try and hit that second shot of the rally. Again, Sinner shifting his court position up the court, up onto the baseline to hit this second serve return. Oh, fabulous second serve. But Sinner gets a racket on it and does just enough. And now we're almost back to 50-50 in this rally. Sinner doing so well to turn this one around from the first serve. Really, really good. Takes the ball early. Etcheverry almost shanked that forehand into the court, which meant it was an awkward shot for Sinner to hit, but he held his ground, took it nice and early, and found really good width. And he is indeed. Clench of fist from Sinner's coach, who is looking a lot more comfortable than he was in the latter stages of that first set. But this challenge now from Etcheverry is turned around pretty well. So I think he'll get that point. I think it was a missed return from Sinner. I think it's a must-win game for Etcheverry, this. If he goes down a double break in this set, Sinner really is going to run away with it. Etcheverry needs to start making some more first serves. That's another one missed. 15-30 in this game. Sinner returns cross-court into the backhand of Etcheverry. Finds a little nudge up the line does Sinner. Now gets the forehand he wants, follows it into the net, and it's a simple put away volley for Sinner. Playing some really good stuff right now as the world number one. Dominating on all areas of the court. His first serves are starting to go in, and now his returns are starting to be hit with such accuracy that there's nothing Etcheverry can do as to just watch the ball sail past him, because it's another couple of opportunities for Sinner to get another break in this final set. Missed serve from Etcheverry goes wide. Sinner up on the baseline. He's going to pounce on this. It's a decent return up the middle. Forehand from Sinner. Big forehand from Etcheverry down the line. He gets Sinner on the stretch out wide. Sinner sliding into that forehand. Sinner going up the line on the backhand. And he challenges it because it would have been an unbelievable shot if that somehow catches a part of the line. So he wants to see whether this truly was wide. And it was just wide. Inches from being a magnificent backhand on the stretch. Djokovic-esque. So 30-40 now, Etcheverry serving. Sinner far behind the baseline. Oh. Goodness me. Almost forgot to commentate on that point because I was amazed at what was going on. Etcheverry hits a delightful little half volley, and Sinner somehow makes it, gets it up over the head of Etcheverry, but thanks to Etcheverry's height, he smashes it down, and Sinner almost finds a way of getting it back on the half volley, but misses long. So we're back level at deuce in this game. First serve missed deep from Etcheverry. This match really is producing some pretty good tennis right now. Another okay return from Sinner. It's followed up nicely from Etcheverry. And the pass is missed from Sinner. So Etcheverry doing well to fight hard in this game. Yeah, he really is digging in, because things aren't looking bright for him right now. Etcheverry deep with the first serve. Again, these stats really won't be looking good for Etcheverry right now in this third set. A lot of first serve still being missed. But Sinner misses the second serve return. So a fabulous hold from Etcheverry, considering 15-40 down, things looking really tough for him. But credit to his attitude. He's continuing to fight, and it's something that he's so well known for. I was just reading this morning his problems that he's had in the last few years with just feeling really sick and having nausea before playing these matches, and also during. For example, at the US Open, just almost vomiting before going on, because it's something that he's felt all throughout his career, even when he was playing juniors. Just the nerves got the better of him. But he's done so well in managing it throughout his career, and it's credit to how much of a hard worker he is and his work ethic that he's able to manage things like that. But at the US Open, I think it was last year, just not taking on enough fluids and actually vomiting mid-match. And I've just heard that all matches now on the outside courts have been cancelled for today. So Dimitrov will not be going back on court. So the only two matches that will now be played are the following two matches on this very court. So Alcaraz, and I'm not sure who follows Alcaraz, but yeah. So it looks as if Dimitrov will be playing catch up tomorrow. Missed forehand from Etcheverry again. Missed a couple of those wide now. Needs to find his timing on that forehand line. Play with a little bit more margin. Don't miss wide. Needs to tell himself. Sinner goes big up the tee. Etcheverry into a forehand exchange now. Sinner really continued to look for the forehand, but no, not right now. He goes into the backhand, now into the forehand. Really nicely opened up. Now he goes for the drop shot. Don't think it's going to be good enough because Etcheverry gets there, but he doesn't manage to push it back in to court. He finds the net. Sinner was moving him from side to side in that rally. Really physical movement from Etcheverry, and such a shame he's returned that drop shot into the net because he got there with ease. Sinner 30 love now. It's served down the tee, follows it in with a forehand, but no, retreat back to the baseline. Hits the forehand straight into the net. I'd like to see Sinner play with a little bit more height on that forehand. Big serve from Sinner up the tee. Fabulously returned from Etcheverry. Now he's on the front foot. Can he continue to be there? He can indeed, because Sinner goes long with the forehand on the run. And Sinner wants to be careful here because he's given himself a really good lead in this third set and was so close to going up 4-1, remember. But Etcheverry fights hard. He's not going to go away. So Sinner in a tight couple of points now in this service game at 3-2 up. Goes body with the serve to Sinner. Fabulous return from Etcheverry again, finding such great depth, but great depth is returned from both players now on the backhand exchange as Sinner goes long with the backhand. And he looks a little bit confuzzled with why he's starting to miss these pretty routine ground strokes for Sinner. So it's Sinner's turn now to face a break point on his serve. Oh, he's got let off the hook because the serve was not a great one. And Etcheverry hits a pretty routine forehand deep. And he'll be gutted to miss that one because that was a real chance of getting into the rally on that first serve of Sinner. Hey, MJ, welcome along. Sinner in a tight one. The world number one going battle into a third set against the world number 37, but that's a huge forehand from Sinner. And that's the injection of pace that we haven't seen so much from Sinner today. It's more been Etcheverry who's been the one with the more energy on court. Sinner's had a really, really brutal few weeks, both on and off court. And it's definitely showing in his game, but he's done so well to get himself into a position of winning this third set. Advantage Sinner. Wide with the first serve. He'll line up for a second. In his usual Nike gear, his black cap and his beige t-shirt and shorts and white shoes. Etcheverry standing back to hit this return, so Sinner will have the chance to dominate, which he's looking to do. He's hitting backhands into the backhand of Etcheverry. Now he finds the net. And it's just frustrating to see. I haven't seen Sinner play this poorly for quite a while. Just so many unforced errors from pretty much nowhere on the court. Almost at 6 minutes this game is now, so it's proving to be a pretty pivotal game in this third set. First serve netted from Sinner. Tied at juice, remember. Second serve. Etcheverry goes back into the middle of the court with a decent amount of height on the return. We're now into a backhand exchange. Sinner again missing the backhand. As soon as I start to describe the point, he just misses. Really surprising. Seems as if Etcheverry just has to make balls right now to a decent quality into the backhand of Sinner, and Sinner will be the first to miss as soon as he tries to inject some pace. He ends up missing. But another missed return from the forehand of Etcheverry. He slaps himself in the leg, disappointed. He knows this lack of energy and this drop in form of Sinner's could only last these few points, and he needs to make the most of it, does Etcheverry. So if he doesn't manage to come out of this game with a break, it's going to be really tough for him to fight back in this set. Good serve from Sinner out wide. I think Etcheverry's just challenging it. Just making sure. But yeah, it's way in from Sinner. So game point for Sinner now to get himself out of jail in this game. Wide from Sinner. Follows it in with the serve and volley, but misses the volley. Short. Eight minutes and counting this game now. No surprise Sinner's going for the serve and volley. Just wants it done. Wants to get out of this game and get off court. Get some rest in before the next one. Wide from Sinner, going into the forehand of Etcheverry. Beautifully. Oh, what retrieval skills from Etcheverry. He had to hit the slice because he was so far on the stretch, but it proved to be a really, really effective shot because Sinner followed in that backhand that was hit with such great angle, and it meant that Sinner had a really, really difficult volley, which he pushed wide. So another break point for the Argentine. Brilliant serve from Sinner. He has a nice, simple bounce smash, which he smashes into the court up the middle of Etcheverry's end. And this game continues. Fabulous return from Etcheverry. He got himself up at the point. He got the backhand that he wanted. Yeah, I mean, his coaches are willing him on because it was really positive tennis from Etcheverry. Struck the return beautifully timed. Got Sinner on the run and opened up the court nicely, but missed the backhand to follow. And now Sinner's got the chance to finish up this game. Second serve now. Sinner with a backhand, forehand from Etcheverry. Another forehand from Etcheverry. Sinner, can he get there? Can he get there? Etcheverry's retreats. And Sinner puts the smash away. Saves a total of 3 break points in that game. And that could be really pivotal, that one. 11 minutes to overcome Etcheverry in that service game. Finally, Sinner's able to get over the line and he looks relieved. Because if he was back tied at 3-3, this match is anyone's again. It seems as if Etcheverry's chance has now come and gone. We shall see. Etcheverry serving at 2-4 from this near end. In Shanghai, this blue court with the green outside of the court, so iconic of this Masters event in Shanghai. I remember so many good matches being played on this court between Murray and Djokovic, Djokovic and Federer, Del Potro and Murray. It's been host to some classic finals, hasn't it, this Masters event? Zverev and Federer from a few years ago, when that infamous game when Federer held serve from almost, I think it was 3 break points down, and I think there were match points too, and there was some ridiculous half volleys, pickups, and forehands from way off the court that he had no right making. You should definitely go and watch that on YouTube if you get a chance today. As expected, Sinner gets himself at love 30 early on in this game. What a marathon that previous game was. And now for Etcheverry to get his legs up for each serve is going to be brutal. But he does well in that point. Excuse me. Excuse me. 15-30 now, Etcheverry. Serve wide from Etcheverry. He follows it into the net, but it's a really good dipping return from Sinner, almost as if he knew that Etcheverry was going to follow that serve into the net. So after a really long game in the previous service game of Sinner's, this game looks to be flashing by. A couple of more break points for Sinner. Etcheverry goes wide, has the forehand follow-up for the drive volley. Sinner somehow makes Etcheverry play one more ball, but fabulous point from the Argentine. Such a nice drive volley that was, because it's not easy when it hangs in the air. You've got to wait your moment. Can't rush that shot at all. And to be able to find the depth that he did as well. Really impressive. He's still fighting, is Etcheverry. But things are looking really difficult from here. His second serve is going to have to be hit. Really good return from Sinner as he goes up the line. Brilliant depth. He's now got a mid-court forehand, which he goes into the backhand of Etcheverry, and it's another break from Sinner. And the backhand up the line set up the point just as he would have liked. The forehand was the next blow, and that was the one that made Etcheverry miss into the net as Sinner followed it up, inserting his pressure on the Argentine so well. And it's Sinner that will come back out of this changeover to serve for the match and get himself back into round 3 of the Shanghai Rolex Masters. And following this match, I don't know if you've heard of him, but Carlos Alcaraz will be stepping onto this stadium court to entertain this Shanghai crowd. He'll be playing Chinese Yibing Wu, who's down at 500 in the rankings. I don't know what's happened there. I think he's must have been struggling with an injury over the last few months or year or so. But he is, he's a quality player. So Alcaraz will have to play well for that one. Let me know, guys, if you're predicting a Sinner Alcaraz final again in Shanghai. Will a repeat of Beijing take place here this week? Also interested to hear what your thoughts are of Djokovic this week. Will he make a little run? How will his end of the year be? It's been a tough year for Djokovic, of course, getting over the line at the Olympics, which was the big story of the year and the big achievement for Djokovic. But apart from that, it's been a pretty slow year for Novak. Good start for this game, though, for Sinner. He's now finally starting to give us a little smile. He's happy that things have finally started to go his way. He's smiling at something. Sinner following up a brilliant serve up the tee with a nice mid-court forehand. His team also laughing a little bit with him. So there's clearly an inside joke happening there that I think we need to get ourselves in on. Sinner serving at 30 love. Misses this first serve long. Going into the forehand. And Etcheverry misses on the return. So it's now 2 hours and 38 minutes. Brings up a few match points for the world number 1 after a tough start to this match. He's worked his way back into the lead really, really impressively. And with a serve and volley, it will be Jannik Sinner who proceeds into the next round, and he continues to smile. And I'm not sure what's going on there, but nice to see Etcheverry congratulating the world number 1. And it's the 10th time this year he's come from a set behind to get the win. And Jannik Sinner will have to wait a little bit longer to find out who his opponent will be in the next round due to the rain here in Shanghai today. But he'll be happy to have a few hours just to relax and not have to think about next round, to be honest with you, because he looked tired today. But credit to the Italian, because he was flagging quite a lot midway through that second set, and a break here or there for Etcheverry, who knows, that could have been Sinner done. But he held on so well and managed to turn that match around. In terms of a serving display, Sinner started to make a lot more first serves. And as we saw Hawkeye tell us, just shifted his game style, shifted his tactics, played a lot more into the forehand side of Etcheverry. Started to see a few more errors flag up from the Argentine on that side. And Etcheverry, you've got to say, didn't serve quite as well in those second and third sets. And Sinner claps off his opponent, Tomas Martin Etcheverry, after putting in a really great performance. He's still in good heart because he's signing a few autographs now as he walks off court. But yeah, it's only a matter of time until he really starts to see some results sort of start to come together for Etcheverry. He's had a really good year, and as I said, it's only a matter of time until we see him start to compete for finals on the tour, for titles. But yeah, 2 hours and 38 minutes. Jannik Sinner gets it done. Started to get on top of the stats when that third set started to get underway. 39 winners to Etcheverry's 29. And in the end, just was too solid because hit a few less unforced errors than Etcheverry. The errors did start to creep in to the Argentine's game. From a service point of view, Jannik Sinner making a few more first serves in the end. That certainly started to shift when we were getting towards the end of the second set. And although first serves one for Etcheverry was so good, he just didn't make enough of them to make that stat count. So Sinner just needed some time to work his way through that match against the world number 37. But he manages to find a way through for the 10th time this year, as I said, getting over the line, having lost the first set. So a really, really good performance from Jannik Sinner in terms of coming over that one. From looking to really be struggling from a mental standpoint, he turned things around. And that's why he's the current world number one. So he will play next in a couple of days once he finds out who wins the match in his part of the draw, but he'll have to wait a little bit longer to find that one out because of the rain here this week. And especially today, it's been just centre court action. So Sinner will play the winner of Roberto Carballes Baena and Ben Shelton in round 4. And if Sinner was to get through that round 4 one, he'd probably be setting up a quarterfinal with Daniil Medvedev, because Medvedev plays the winner of Tsitsipas, his match. So yet to see who Sinner will play, but let's hear from him now. I'll just reiterate to you what Sinner's saying in the interview. A tough set to lose that first one. He had his chances. These things can happen when it's a tight set like that. He played well. It was a tough match physically, but also very much mentally. The third set got stressful because if he loses the 3-2 game, we're back on serve and it could go anyway. Sometimes you have to wait for your chances. And I just tried to stay calm mentally, and I think that's what got me through today. So yeah, that says it all really. I think it was a real strong performance in terms of being able to get over that mental hurdle from Sinner. So really impressive. So that's that, folks. Thanks so much for joining along. That was yeah, it was good to see the world number one being tested by someone who isn't named Carlos Alcaraz. Tomas Martin Etcheverry of Argentina putting up a really, really strong display. But Sinner just showing how tough it is to beat him this year. We'll be back very soon. Make sure to give this page a like and subscribe. I'm sure we'll all appreciate that. So yeah, thanks so much and see you soon.